So today we are working on graphing high tides and moon phases. So this data is all from the year February, the month February of 2015, and it's in a little place called Seaside Heights, New Jersey. Perhaps you've been there before. So let's make sense of it. Here are all the possible dates. We start in 2/3, 2/7, and we go all the way until 2/28. So it's just shy of a full month. And because of that, we're getting all the phases, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent, all the way to waxing gibbous. And then of course it will be full moon again right after that. Now it says right here, height of high tides in feet. We have 2 high tides per day. One happens in the morning, one happens in the evening, AM and PM. So these are the heights that you're going to have on each day. You'll notice that the heights fluctuate depending on the moon phases. All right, this is directions. Looking at the data above, add the dates to the x-axis of your graph. I'm going to switch over here so you can see what it looks like. Okay, the x-axis of your graph is right here. All the dates are already added, and we already labeled it as dates x-axis. So 1 and 2 are both done. That's great. Let's go on to number 3. Draw the phase of the moon for each corresponding date. It's already drawn out for you. Let's go down here to number 4. On the y-axis, add the increments for feet. Be sure to evenly space the numbers and add your title, height of water in feet. That's 4 and 5. And it looks like that's already done for us. So we have height of water in feet. We start with 3.4. We go all the way up here to 5.4. But we'll know that everyone in between is the odd numbers right there. Now it says number 6, using a red colored pencil, add the data points for the high tides for AM. I'm actually going to switch over to a different program to do that. So I am going to use my scribble tool for this one. And we're going to look. So we're going to do, the first date is February 3rd, and the first one is 4.6. So we're going to look for February 3rd, and we're going to go up to 4.6 right over here. So that's where we're going to draw our very first dot. So I'm going to use the scribble tool right here, and I'm going to draw right here next to 4.6, just a little circle right there. And now I will change it to red to mimic your red color pencil. I'll make it a little thicker so you can see it very easily. So there we go. We got the first one done. The next one that we'll look at is 2/7, 4.2. We look for 2/7, that's February 7th, and it is 4.2. So we'll draw that right there. The next one is February 11th, and it's 3.5. Trust me on this. So it's 3.5. Now, of course, when we get to this part, we just have to know it's halfway between 3.4 and 3.6. So right here, we will go 3.5. Next one is February 14th, Day of Love. And if we look back there, February 14th was 4.3. Wonderful. So I will come over here, and I will go up to 4.3. Again, right in between these two. If I'm going too fast for you, please pause until you're caught up, and then you can unpause to keep going. So I'm not going to keep flipping back because I'm looking at the page off screen right here, but the next one is 2/18, and it's 5.5. 2/18 is all the way here for 5.5, so we are going to fill that in right over there. 2/21, February 21st, is 5.3. That'll be over here. February 25th is 4.6. It's down here. And lastly, 2/28 is 4.1. These are all of our dots. So we're done with that. That's great. Let's go back and see the next step. So after number 6, it says number 7, connect the data points using a smooth/wavy line. So instead of using a straight line, they want us to use a wavy line. Okay, well, we'll do that. We'll come down over here. We're not going to worry about being perfectly straight. So we're going to kind of come down over here, move up, 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 up to here. And then we kind of come back down while also connecting these. It's okay if it's not perfect. Now I'm just going to change the thickness of it to make it very clearly different. All right, and there we go. So that is our very first ones that we have done. All righty. And then it's time to go on to the next step. So the next step on here, it says, using a blue colored pencil, add the data points for the high tides for PM. So that's all of these ones. So now we're using our blue colored pencil. So the first one is 2/3, but now there's 2 in one day, it's 4.2. So we come over here, we're gonna go down to 4.2, and this is gonna be our very first one that we do for the day. I'm gonna change the thickness so it's easier to see. There we go. The next one is 2/7, and that is 4.2. So that is, nope, that's wrong. Next one, 2/7 is 4.0. My mistake. Right along there. Perfect. Now let's look for 2/11. We did 2/3, we did 2/7. This one, don't connect, no data. That's interesting. So since there's no data, we can assume that there was either a malfunction on the day of their recording, the person forgot to record, or yeah, for whatever reason, there's just no data that day. So we're just going to skip it. We're going to go right to 2/14 at 3.6. So February 14th, we're at 3.6 right over here. 2/18 is 5.0. 2/21 is 5.2. Next one is 4.1. And lastly, but not leastly, we have the very last one, 2/28. That is 3.8. So 3.8 feet was the second high tide on February 28th, 2015. The red one, the AM one, was at 4.1. So this one was 3.8. So now what we need to do is we need to connect this one too. So I'm going to draw my line here. Now, I could just go straight across here, but I'm just going to kind of assume that this one has been lower since all of them have been lower. So I'm just going to come down here and just kind of estimate that that's where it would have been. It's fine if you didn't do that. But I'm going to connect these over here because that is our next step. Come down over here, connect it with that wavy line until our last two are connected. And now I'll just make it a little thinner. All right, and now we're done plotting all this. So we are all set here. It's time to look to see what our last step was. It said right here to do number 10, which is add a key to your graph. So we need to add a key right now. So the way that we'll do that is I already have a red and a blue. So maybe I'll just add a little text box over here and I'll put next to the red, we'll say AM tides. And then I'll do a new one over here and that can be for PM tides. And that's just so, it just makes sense what we have next to it. All right, so we have red, we have blue covered, and this is done. Let's go back and see what all of our answers are. So number one, when did the highest high tide occur? The highest high tide. So let's look at our chart over here. Highest high tide is on this date. This is the highest number, right? So this occurred on 2/18. So that would be your answer for that one, 2/18, February 18th. When did the lowest high tide occur? Well, it would have been here, but we don't have that exact data point. But this is a real data point, and you know what? It's there, so that's the same date. It's 2/11. So 2/11 is part 2 of question number 1. So this one was 2/18, this one was 2/11. Next one, when did the largest difference in high tide occur on the same day? When we hear the word difference, we're doing math, right? And it's specifically subtraction. So we're going to look over here for the subtraction. We're going to look for the largest difference between these two. It's got to be this one, right? Let's double check. Start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7/10 of a difference right here, 7/10 of a foot. So that's the answer is 2/14. That's Valentine's Day, the day of love. Number 3, when did the smallest difference in high tide occur on the same day? That's got to be on this day over here. On 2/21, we look up here and there's a 0.1 difference. If we go down to the next question, it says, were spring or neap tides higher? If we look back over here, we see that the spring tides must be the full moon and the new moon. And then the neap tides must be the quarter moons. So if we look, are the quarter moons higher or are the full and new moon higher. Definitely the full moon and the new moon are higher. So that would be our answer to that question, that it would be spring tides are higher. So that makes sense. But lastly, it says why? Well, of course, it's the combined gravity of the moon and the sun pulling together, both pulling together. That's what makes it that way. Good. Lastly, it says, were there any other patterns that you notice? Well, the only other pattern that I could really see if you look at this is, of course, just the fact that the AM was more rough, higher waves than the PM. So that's one of them. But lastly, maybe you just notice that of all the tides, new moon was by far the strongest. So even though this is a spring tide and this is a spring tide, this is the strongest high tides of that one. And that is it, my friend. So you should now have all the answers done to complete this assignment. Very good job.